this afternoon we're at Panama Elementary School, home of the
Yellow Jackets.
Yellow Jackets indeed. And with us right now we have 5th grader Mone, and Mone is going to work on a problem with us right now. Mone, you ready?
Yeah.
All right, let's first take a look at this. This is going to be in 5th grade. The domain is number and operations in base 10. Okay?
Yes.
Do you have a brother or sister?
Yes.
What is their name? Pick one.
My sister, she's in 3rd grade, and her name is Jasmine.
Jasmine. All right, let's say Jasmine wrote down these numbers as a pattern. Okay? Why don't you go ahead, first of all, and read the numbers for us.
32.8, 31.5, 30.2, blank, and 27.6.
Nicely done. Now you said 32.8. Is there another way that you could verbalize that? Another way to say it? Instead of saying 32.8, do you know what the decimal point?
You could say 32 and 8.
And 8?
Tenths?
That's the way. 32 and 8 tenths, right? So if we went 32 and 8 tenths, what would that one be?
31 and 5 tenths.
Perfect. Next.
30 and 2 tenths.
And finally?
27 and 6 tenths.
All right. Now, looking at the problem, let's say Jasmine made up this pattern. You have to figure out what? What do we have to do with this problem?
Have to figure out the pattern.
Okay, we have to figure out the pattern. And once we figure out the pattern, what will you be filling in?
The blank spot.
There you go. All right, so how would you like to start the problem?
Figure out what the numbers have in common.
Okay. Why don't you go ahead and show me what you'd like to do?
Let's see. So it's 32.
Well, one thing we can look at, because you're saying 32, so one thing I can see is I see 32, 31, 30. So I would think maybe 29 something would come next.
Yeah.
But that doesn't work then, does it? So we're not just going down by one. So what else you want to try here? Because you want to, go ahead.
First, find out what those four have in common.
Okay.
And to figure out what the blank would be.
All right. So one thing you could do is you could find the difference, because let's say we had these numbers. I went 1, 3, 5, blank, 9. What's the difference between 1 and 3?
You skipped 2.
So how did I go from 1 to 3? Did I add, subtract, multiply, divide?
Add.
I added 2, right? And if I go from 3 to 5, what did I do?
Add 2.
Added 2. So in this pattern, the logical thing would be add 2,
2.
and what would be there?
7.
And if I add 2, would I come to 9?
Yes.
So we can see the pattern is adding 2. But the easy way to get there is take the first two numbers and see what the difference is between those.
Okay.
So how about if you take these first two numbers, you can do me a favor and grab that eraser and we'll get some of this out of your way. All right. So why don't you take the first two numbers and see what the difference is, and we'll work from there.
Let's see.
And what are you going to do with these two numbers?
Let's see.
You're going to find the difference between them, right?
Yeah.
So what do you have to do to them?
Subtract it.
Subtract them. Perfect. So why don't you put the subtraction sign right there? And you knew to subtract because when I said find the difference, you knew that difference meant
Subtraction.
subtracting. All right, perfect.
That means 1.
Well, how about if we start with the 8 and the 5 first,
Okay.
right? Go 8
Yeah.
minus 5.
8 minus 5 is 1.3.
Okay, so because we went 2 minus 1, 3's
0.
good, right? So you have 1.3. So we're going to subtract 1.3.
0.3.
Okay, now what do you think the next step would be?
Probably figure out, subtract these two and figure out if you get 1.3.
You can do that. Go ahead.
Okay. 1.
Getting that to be 1.3, didn't it? All right. So why don't you put another subtract 1.3 right there? All right. Thus far, the pattern continues with take away 1.3. What do you think the next step is? How are we going to find that blank number?
Do 30.2 2 minus 1.3.
Have at it.
Let's see.
What'd you come up with?
28.9.
So you believe right now that 28.9 goes there?
Yeah.
Okay, why don't you go ahead and put it there? Now, how can you check to make sure that that is correct, other than just going 30.2 minus 1.3, what you already did?
28.9 minus 27.6.
And what should that be?
1.3.
Let's see. At
1.3.
1.3 it is, right?
Yes.
So the pattern, you knew that the answer was now 28.9, and how would you say that instead of 28.9?
28 and 9/10.
Perfect. And what is the pattern? What are we doing to each of these numbers?
You're subtracting 1.3 from each number.
Monet? Perfect.